All right, we're streaming to YouTube. We're going to start ahead. We're going to go ahead with the Facebook stream. Ah, got the Facebook stream going. Yep, Richard, couldn't agree more. We're good? Am I live? I'm live? I'm live. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, did NVIDIA CEO steal a page from Tim Cook? You better believe they did. And it couldn't be more of a simply genius move. We're going to go into why I feel like that. We're going to go into that and so much more. I am Mark Melnick. This is the Newsbeat Show. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Newsbeat Show. So many great things to talk about here today. We're going to talk about NVIDIA, who is reporting later in the week. I thought we'd talk a little bit more about it now. We will be going over it again in the week, and we're going to go through our precise daily stock levels, our game plan, and no new forex trades, but we'll go over that as well as our full stock analysis. But first, you agree by listening to and watching this video that you hold me, Mark Melnick, harmless and unliable to anything you read, hear, see, think, hear, say, whatever, dream while watching this video. If you do not agree to those terms, write down everything I'm saying, have it notarized by 3 different people, notaries, then you must exit this video immediately. Well, thank you so much for going through the hassle of getting my words notarized. You must really want to hear what I have to say. Well, I have good news for you. I hopefully going to bring you some value here as I usually try to do. And of course, we're going to talk about NVIDIA. Now, this is a very interesting story. Now, you remember how we bought into Apple prior to earnings. I mean, besides for besides for our article at the end of January 3rd when Apple closed at 142.19, we released a video saying why Tim Cook is a genius and why they're going to gap up on earnings, yada, yada, yada. We bought into Apple there. We made money. And then we bought Apple, of course, prior to earnings. Right over here, we bought it on January 29th as well and just walked into a gap up. I sold my Apple the next day. And it actually ended up, running higher and then, sort of digesting now recently. Now, NVIDIA is also reporting this week. I believe they are reporting on Thursday. Let me just double check. I wanted to give you guys an earlier heads up for those who are potentially watching for like some form of overnight play or whatever. I thought they were, is it Thursday after the close? Let me just double check. Yeah, so they're reporting Thursday after the close. So they'll be reporting on Valentine's Day after market close. And I think they're going to have a secret admirer in the stock market when it gaps up the next day. So let's talk about NVIDIA. Extremely, extremely beaten up name. I mean, if you recall, the Newsbeat live room was saying get rid of your positions prior to that last earnings, where it plummeted from $300 down. We turned very bearish on Nvidia there, and it ended up making sense because Nvidia obviously ended up plummeting from there, and it ended up being a really nice trade. But with that being said, well, let's talk about NVIDIA for a second. So I want to take you back to a time. It was a cold day. It was November 15th, 2018, right over here. You could see on your chart right before NVIDIA actually gapped down and gotten a little crush there on earnings. Let's go ahead and talk about that for a moment, and we're going to go over some of those things. So taking a look at NVIDIA here. They went ahead and they reported earnings there on November 15th, and they gapped down. So they reported $1.84 per share versus $1.71. They reported 3.18 billion versus 3.24 billion. As I have told you always, that doesn't matter. It's all about future projections. And if they're good, NVIDIA would have gapped up. And if it's bad, NVIDIA would have gapped down. I have gathered so much statistical and empirical evidence of that happening for some reason in 2018 that it happens well above 85% of the time. I didn't record the last earnings quarter that just happened because it was from 2018 and a lot of the 2018 earnings went into 2019, but I've noticed that strong trend as well. It's easily happening well over 7 out of 10 times. You think it's a coincidence that we were 4 for 4 on our earnings ideas last week when we gave you Snap long before earnings, Electronic Arts short before earnings, GM long before earnings, and what was the fourth one we gave you? We gave you a Skechers Strangle. Actually, we played both sides of Skechers and ended up making money on that one as well. But with that being said, um, we're focused in on NVIDIA here. So again, there's a lot of empirical and statistical evidence. So when I say it only matters what their future projections are and it doesn't matter what they report for that quarter, I can back that statement through physical numbers where it's beyond my opinion. It's a statistical fact. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to go like that for the future. That's an opinion. But from what we've been seeing in the market, it is a statistical fact. So they said their next quarter's revenue, which is going to be this Thursday, this is their official Q4 revenue for 2018. Yes, they're announcing it in February, on February 14th, obviously. They said they're going to make 2.7 billion plus or minus 2%. Hmm. Now, if you want to know what, 2% of 2.7 billion is, it's $54 million, meaning if it's plus 2%, the best they could do according to their numbers, granted it's just an estimate and it could change, would be 2.754 billion in the most optimistic scenario. That's going to miss massively off the $3.4 billion. That's going to miss massively off of that number. But here's the interesting part. When you think of AMD, and I'm going to ask this to the room right now, what would you say what would you say NVIDIA's number one competition is out there? Who would you say NVIDIA's number one competition is? When you look for a comp play in NVIDIA, what do you look at? What stock? AMD. Right? AMD. Exactly. Absolutely good. Well played, guys. So, looking at AMD, they reported absolutely abysmal earnings. Abysmal. I mean, yeah, I know I'll have the person who says, "Oh, AMD is going to be the wave of the future." Maybe it is. I'm rooting for you, but let's not take a piece of manure and sugarcoat it and call it candy, okay? Let's not do that. We know they gapped up. I get it. This is an exception to the rule. This is not how it acts. Did I lose money on AMD? Um, I think I took it, remember the few weeks before, but we made money on all the other plays, so we actually ended up making money. I think I actually ended up trying the AMD puts unsuccessfully when they actually reported, and they gave us a very nice gap up. But let's push that aside for a second. And let's just talk about, I think they reported right there, January 29th. Yeah, and they opened up higher on January 30th. I actually was part of that play and a bunch of other plays, and the other plays completely outweighed the AMD. I remember now. But the point I'm making is not how I did or did not play it. The point I am making is what AMD actually did on earnings and how they actually gapped up. So they announced 8 cents versus the 8 cent expected. They were a little light on revenues, 1.42 billion versus the 1.45 billion. Now AMD did the same BS as Nvidia. They also gave future projections with a plus or minus. So Nvidia did plus, and this is extremely rare. It just happens to be for two names that are comps off each other. And I'm going to show you the interesting correlation here. Then I'm going to explain to you why Nvidia is going to cap up on earnings despite their earnings inevitably. 100% those earnings are going to suck, but why they're going to gap up on it as well. Here's where it gets interesting. So AMD announced future revenue for the next quarter's revenue, which didn't report yet, of 1.25 billion, and they also said plus or minus 50 million, meaning 1.245 to 1.255 billion, right? Plus or minus $50 million. The Wall Street consensus was 1.48 billion. So basically, they're coming out and saying, yeah, we're going to miss by around $230 million. That is a lot of money for an AMD. This isn't a Google missing by $230 million, and Google's like, but tomorrow we're just going to clear that 230 million anyway. This is AMD. So the earnings were abysmal, but what you saw happen is you saw somebody step in and buy a company that used to be a lot higher. Now, look at AMD's chart. I'm going to show you on the weekly. Don't focus on the numbers. I just want you to close your eyes. I'm serious. Laugh your asses off. I don't care. But I'm going to show you why NVIDIA is going to do it. Follow what I'm saying. Just close your eyes, look at the chart, ignore the numbers on the right-hand side. Just look at the bars. Here's a weekly of a NVIDIA, AMD. You see how it went up, pulled down, and then curved up again? You see that? Now look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA didn't do that. NVIDIA is going to curve up. NVIDIA is going to curve up on earnings. Their earnings are going to be bad. They came out and said they were going to be bad. Remember when NVIDIA came out and they actually came out right here on Friday, January 25th. And I'm going to remind you what happened that day. I'm going to remind you what happened that day. So NVIDIA plunged on January 28th because they came out that morning after January 25th, which was Friday. And then, if you remember, they closed at 160 on January 25th. And then they opened up at 136. They opened up 24 points lower. Ladies and gentlemen, the negative news for NVIDIA just got priced in right in front of your eyes. You're not going to be able to surprise us with garbage news. We already know your news is going to be garbage. And if you remember, I was that one person on the entire internet when Apple hit a multi-year low to put out a video, defend Tim Cook, where every analyst, everyone was throwing Tim Cook under the bus. And I said the man is a genius. I am going to say that NVIDIA, I don't want to call what they're doing is genius. It's stealing, but I respect in a respectful manner. It's stealing. They're stealing a page out of Tim Cook's playbook. You know how they say that what is it? Plagiarism is the best form of flattery. This is like the exact case where you could use that line. Plagiarism is the best form of flattery. And I'm going to tell you exactly what's going to happen on NVIDIA, and I'm going to tell you exactly what you're going to see on NVIDIA, and I'm going to tell you exactly how NVIDIA is going to act as a result of it. Because, I mean, it is sort of cheating for me that I do have a time machine, and I did fly in the future to next Friday where I saw NVIDIA gap up massively, and now I'm coming from the future. It's like, you got to go back to the future, Marty! I had to go like 88 miles an hour, and I had to come back and tell you guys what was happening here. So, with that being said, AMD ended up gapping up on garbage earnings. NVIDIA came out, just lowered their estimates across the board, and it did already cause the stock to plunge. So the negativity, what I am saying, is already priced in. They said they're cutting their revenue view to 2.2 billion from 2.7 billion. Now, why would a company do this? Why would a company do this? If you remember when Tim Cook did it, everybody was like, why are you bashing your own? People got, they got a little, I mean, there's a lot of colorful words they could hurt. Their backsides got hurt. Their backsides, they're like, oh, everybody was so sour. Now NVIDIA did the same thing, and the analyst came out and did the same thing. I'm going to start listing off the imbecilic analysts who are going to be upgrading it, who just recently downgraded it on January 29th. You ready? Vijay Rakesh from Mizuho, $200 target from 230. You want to? This is a good one. UBS Warburg analyst Timothy Arcuri upgraded Nvidia after that news. This is This is the next day on the 29th. Upgraded it, but lowered the target to 180 from 190. Plays both sides of the table. Complete and utter imbecile. Needham downgrades the stock to underperform or buy, calling for a target of $100 or below. You're gonna look so dumb this Thursday. I'm calling it out now. That's Rajvindra Gill. I mean, apparently, a lot of people from the Indian tribe, like from India, you know, are analysts on this company, and I have a lot of friends from that country, and they're gonna have to speak to them because this is ridiculous. Morgan Stanley downgrades Nvidia, says gaming challenges were worse than expected. That's Joseph Moore. He's also gonna look like an idiot on Thursday. And why am I pointing this out? Because you have to understand, from my perspective, how stupid all these analysts are. These are all the analysts, all lowering price targets. The ones that bring no value lowered the price target to a higher number. So after Nvidia gaps up, they'll be like, I still had the higher price target, even though like Jeffries lowered it from 185 to 185 from 246. So Jeffries lowered it like 60 points or 61 points. SunTrust downgraded it here 187 from 237. MKM Partners put a 148 from 235. He is going to look like the biggest schmuck. That's Ruben Roy out of MKM Partners. Ambrish Srivastava from BMO Capital is going to look like an idiot. 130 target from 175. Brent Bracelin says NVIDIA projects $300 billion cloud jump. Now, that wasn't directly to NVIDIA. He just generalized. For that analyst is cool. Brent Bracelin is cool. Joseph Moore downgrades NVIDIA, says gaming challenges. He lowered his target to 148 from 220. He's going to look like a schmuck. And by the way, I agree that NVIDIA is weak. This is the irony behind it. And wait till I get to the punchline. So basically, all the analysts came out similar to how they did on Apple, and they just started downgrading it across the board. You know what happened after Apple got downgraded across the board after we called Tim Cook a genius? It went from $142 on January 3rd to $175.57, or let's call it 175. It went 33 and a half points higher in 1 month in 3 days. Basically, in 1 month, the stock rallied 33 and a half points. That is massive for Apple. That is a 24, 23% move in a month. That's after all the analysts downgraded it, by the way. Let me introduce you to the new line of schmucks who came out and downgraded NVIDIA because NVIDIA said they're going to do bad. Look, without a doubt, 100%, NVIDIA is going to report garbage earnings. Okay? You're going to look at it and don't look at the stock. Just look at the numbers initially and ask yourself, should this stock gap up or down? And you're going to say down. Remember how I said Apple earnings sucked, even though we bought calls ahead of time and made money? And then I looked at it and I said, yeah, Apple earnings weren't good. But nobody gave a crap. Nobody gave a crap because Tim Cook already pulled the carpet underneath people. So people weren't walking on the carpet. Earnings came out and then they fell and broke their back. People were expecting nothing fell and hit the ground. And then we're all, well, maybe their butts were hurt because they fell. They landed on their back hurts, their butt hurts, whatever, from falling on the floor after Tim Cook pulled the carpet out from underneath them. And if you remember that day, Apple opened up $14 lower on that day. A massive plunge for Apple with just that announcement. NVIDIA did the same thing. NVIDIA stole a page from Tim Cook's playbook. What do you think NVIDIA is going to do on earnings? I'll tell you right now. NVIDIA is going to miss tremendously. They're going they said they think they're going to do 2.2 billion in revenue on January 28th. They're reporting like 17 days later. They're not going to be too far off of that projection. What, you think they're going to surprise on revenues? You would have to be the most delusional human being on the planet. They literally came out right before earnings, January 28th, and announced that they're going to miss on earnings. And literally 2.5 weeks later, they're going to report. Doesn't that seem oddly timed with Apple, who announced it on January 3rd that they're going to miss on earnings? And coincidentally, just a few weeks later, they announced and then beat. And now NVIDIA is announcing a few weeks after they gave the negative announcement and prepared everybody and took the blow early so they can easily beat later. You want to know why interpreting news and interpreting things makes life so much easier as a trader? How valuable was this Newsbeat show to you? I mean, honestly, how much insight did we just give you? Now, I'm not going to be right 100% of the time, but in this case, I did cheat and I did time travel in the future, and I did happen to know that I am absolutely right on this one. You know what the analysts are going to do? We downgraded the stock recently. Yeah, Nvidia earnings suck. It deserves a downgrade, but their timing is awful. Their timing is absolutely awful. I'm looking to buy Nvidia on any pullback. Now, here's the thing. It's going to be interesting to say, Mark, do you buy it on Monday? I don't know. I don't really know how Nvidia is going to move between Monday and Thursday. If you want to use my Apple as an example, Apple grinded. Like if you bought Apple, for example, if you bought Apple, um, the week before earnings, which would be Tuesday, January 22nd, and it opened up at 156.59, Apple grinded and closed at 154.68 a week later. So you would have lost time value and a couple points on your option calls. You would have lost money. And then obviously if you held, you would have made money. And again, we bought it on January 29th. In the example of Apple, it would have paid to wait till the very end to buy it, right? I don't know what's happening in NVIDIA where I'm giving you guys the heads up now intentionally as opposed to just tell. I could have just told you on Wednesday night and you guys would have loved me for making this call. You know what? Love me more. I am telling you on a Monday. NVIDIA is not going to beat on earnings. NVIDIA earnings are going to look like garbage. NVIDIA is going to gap up on earnings. Questions? Questions from the room? And if you have any questions and you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to comment in the comment section. You guys get it? All right. I happened to go into the future, into tomorrow, and I came back with algorithmic levels. Yes, I could show you all the algorithmic levels, all the tops and bottoms we called in these names, but I'd rather just show it to you tonight. This is the third video I'm doing today. We did release our next, we do have a higher conviction idea that we released earlier to Newsbeat Live members, and I just want to again thank you for you guys making our open houses the most successful open houses in T3 and not only the most successful open houses in T3, I actually want to share a letter, which is very important. This is actually going to be the most important part of my video here. I did want to share just a really beautiful video with you guys, and it honestly melted my heart. I was honestly like, honestly, if you guys want to know like why I get up in the morning and whatnot, I'm gonna share with you an email and just want to hide the gentleman's name. I'm sure he wouldn't mind if I showed you the email, but he actually has his face in the letter. And as you could see, this was sent Saturday, February 9th, one day ago on Gmail. And I'm just reading you a letter from an actual member. And I just need you guys, especially for you new guys, for motivation. This is the stuff that will help make you money. Dear Mark, this is another love email, but maybe not like many of the ones you constantly get. I know you are now getting thousands of emails every day. It's actually not thousands. It's probably about 1,500 emails every 2 weeks, about 3,000 a month. I get about 100 a day on average. But I hope you take the time to read this one, and I hope it encourages you to keep doing what you are doing. I have been a member of your room with continuous annual subscription since 2015. You have almost never seen me in the room until this past month. That's true. I have never, honestly, I did not even know he was a member of the room until he started talking last month, and he's been a member since 2015. A month after I joined with you in 2015, my wife pulled the plug on our marriage and left me. Something that a lot of us has felt, myself included. Taking our son. That this is I need the Melnick glasses now. Leading up to that life-changing event, I had been struggling to trade for a living during 2014 and 2015 with a $50,000 account following Dan Zanger and Scott Redler, doing swing trades and trading shares as my only source of income. As you know, that didn't work too well. With trading income from swing trades and only a 50K account during that time period, I didn't know better. Why was I doing it? Because I was prior military, thank you for your service, and got out of the military and then became a civilian contractor in Iraq during the war. I suffered an injury and was unable to walk or work for an extended period. I'd been learning trading since 2007 with a dream to become a full-time trader and thought I had no option but to try to trade for a living since there wasn't much else I could do, not being able to leave the house. Long story short, I struggled. There was a lot of pain, blah, blah, blah. Wife gave up and left. As part of our deal, I pulled all my money out of my trading account and set her up in an Amazon business, which she then blew through all my money and losses and left me with a pile of debt to pay besides my own debt. I had stopped trading and dropped out of your room. See, I didn't even know he was in or not in, right? Even though I still had the annual subscription. For 18 months, I struggled to find a decent job and found nothing. It's tough out there when you're a male over 50. Humiliated, I was forced to move in with my parents. I pulled from my retirement account early to pay for the T3 prop trader program and the subscription for your room again at the end of 2016 and plan to get going again via that while living with my folks. So he's 50 years old. He's looking for a job. He got divorced. He has not a lot of money, and he's living with his parents. That plan did not work out as I did not get along with my dad at all and had to leave. I was broke, jobless, and homeless again, and over age 55. That was the spring of 2017. Finally living out of my car and beating the streets and internet after hundreds of job applications submitted, I landed a job in remote Alaska at a seafoods factory making $13 an hour, working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. It was enough to get me back on my feet again. In April 2018, I rejoined your room and took your mastery course, but the problem was my work schedule did not allow me to trade or participate in your room at all. I could only watch the nightly videos. In July 2018, I wrote down a statement on paper and read it aloud every day. I want to be able to trade from 5:30 a.m. to 7 a.m., which is the first hour and a half of trading Alaska time. Therefore, I want a job with a schedule that allows me to do that. I want this because it gives me the ability to make money consistently in the markets and moves me towards my goal of financial and personal freedom. Mark, in December 2018, that's 2 months ago, I got that job. I got moved in and started the new job and was able to participate again in your room beginning the week of Christmas this year. I am able to participate in the mornings from 5 to 7 a.m. my time, which is 9 to 11 a.m., as he points out, New York time, before work, and not able to check in near the market close for your overnight calls. I will be correcting this last piece this month so I can add the overnights. On January 6th, I got started with TradeHawk slash Tradier. Thank you to the room for bringing that up to him. Schwab did not approve me for options because I couldn't answer all the technical questions they asked me about options trading prior to approving my account. Thank God Tradier, or Tradier, however you pronounce it, approved me immediately. I still have no clue about options, but that hasn't stopped me. Against all odds, I have become a winner, making consistent money. Thanks to you, Mark. See the attached spreadsheets of all my trades from January 6th to February 7th. $30,000 in 30 days with a $10,000 account size. This is without taking any of your overnight trades, except for a few. This is literally life altering for me. You cannot begin to imagine how grateful I am after so much struggle and heartache for years. Words cannot describe. It's not just the money, Mark. It's that my dignity, honor, and hope have been restored. My passion is renewed. I am able to thrive and not just survive. Psychological toxicity obliterated. The value of these is immeasurable. Thank you, Mark, for all you do. Please keep doing it, and God bless you. I am not ashamed to say tears of joy. I was in tears too, my brother. And gratitude are streaming from me as I write this. I still have numerous issues stacked against me. We only have satellite internet here with 4 megabyte maximum speed, and we are charged for data usage by the megabyte. My internet bill is $400 per month. Yikes! There is serious lag time on my data and transactions. I didn't know Alaska was that bad. Even your feed comes in garbled a lot of the time. I have to get up at 4 a.m. to be ready for the room on time. Nothing is stopping me now. My deepest gratitude, the member of the room. So, wow. I mean, how do you react when you read? How do you react when somebody sends you a letter like that? How do you react when somebody sends you a letter like that? I mean, it just. Thank you so much for sharing that letter with all of us here. It is such a blessing and motivation that you came out and shared that with all of us here. It is, if you want to know why I do what I do, it's for getting a letter like that. It's for getting a letter like that. And the gentleman even attached his trades. The gentleman even attached his trades, and he shows all the Newsbeat trades he's been doing, and he shows his total gains. These are gains. So he didn't turn 10,000 into 30,000. He turned 10,000 into slightly over 40,000 because he has 30,000 in gains. He tripled his account by it's 4 times larger, but he did it by tripling the value of his account. And you could see he literally, look how many trades. Is he saying they're trading a million names? Look how many trades he traded. He showed how many days he held it. Most of the time were 0 days. You have a few overnights here and there that he traded, but the majority is, you see, he shows the cost, the proceeds, the gains, the gain loss percent, what day he opened or closed it. Dude served in the military, went through a divorce, life got screwed up, didn't get along with his dad, ended badly, went homeless. A trader who went homeless and he served in the military, and somebody like that is, living out of his car. And he got a job in Alaska for $13 an hour, pushed through, moved to Alaska. Who the heck does that? Who the heck does that? A man who never gives up and fought through everything. So again, from the bottom of my heart, ladies and gentlemen, give this dude a round of applause because if that is not the most encouraging thing, and it's a member of our room. Let me see if he's actually in the room now. He is in the room now. So, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for the most inspiring story that I have read in a very long time. And if there's anything that you ever need from me, and I'm sure I could speak on behalf of any of us, you just let me know. And I will do everything in my power to help you. I'll do everything in my power to help you. In fact, I would be honored if you let me buy you a month of internet service. Would be my honor if you allowed me to um, pay your internet bill for 1 month. You just reach out to me. I see you in the room right now. You don't have to talk. Just reach out to me, mark.melnick at t3live.com. You obviously have my email. That's where you sent that email to. But again, thank you very much. Um, Levels for tomorrow, right over here. Don't don't tattoo this on anyone's face. Don't tattoo it on the. Don't write it in permanent marker. Those are your support and resistance levels for tomorrow. I did cheat and take a time travel machine into the future. These levels don't always hit, but when they do, as a Newsbeat Live member, you're actually going to get a tweet in your phone on real time, and it's going to send a message to your email if needed through Twitter that actually tells you in real time when these levels hit. If you're not part of the Newsbeat Live room, you obviously cannot get that service, but you could set alerts on your own platform. Do it. It's very helpful. It might help you make money. No new Forex trades today. No new Forex trades today. I'm currently in a position of Canadian Swiss franc that got filled. I took, after having like two wins in a row, I took two losses in a row, and now I have an open position that is slightly up money, just FYI. In terms of, if you're watching a name for potential overnight, I'm watching Omnicell, excuse me, that's OMCL. Just a name that gapped up big. Just want to see if it could break 77.39. So, look, with that being said, it was just, again, I rarely just come out and talk about stories like that. But, when you go through thousands of emails helping people every day, and you really, from my perspective, you're just always trying to lift people up as best as you can. And, all I can give is everything that I can, and I can't give you more. I can give you less, but I can't give you more than everything that I try to do for you. And when you come across an email like that, after reading, 1,500 emails a week, it really touches you in a way that makes me feel like the work that I'm doing here, even if it just helps one person at the end of the day, makes everything I do worthwhile. So again, God bless you and thank you so much. Please reach out to me. Again, I know you're watching this video at mark.melnick@t3live.com. I would be honored if you allowed me to buy you 1 month of internet service. It would be my absolute honor and pleasure to do so for you. Also, if you're watching this video on Facebook or YouTube, let me know what you think about the story. Let me know if you were inspired by words like that. We get so many inspiring emails every day, and that one just really, some of them just touch you in a really interesting way. That one definitely was one of them. And there's a reason why, ladies and gentlemen, that traders swear that the Newsbeat live room is the largest, fastest growing trading room in the nation. Happy trading, make money. I'll see you guys tomorrow on the Newsbeat live trading broadcast. Have a wonderful evening.